All right, here are solutions for quiz 2 for Math 211. What's going on here is you start out with $100 and then tomorrow you find another dollar, so you're up to 101, and then 2 days from now you lose $2. Oh, bummer. But don't worry, because 3 days from now you find $3. Oh, but then 4 days you lose 4, and so on. So the question is, if you ever get down to $0, you're going to give me a call. And I guess I'm implying that that does happen because I ask when you call me, how much money was the most that you ever had, essentially. So what I was going for here, as far as our problem-solving methods, is this might be a problem that works well to find a pattern. So what we can do is kind of create some columns, maybe days from now. Doesn't say from. And money, how much money you have. And let's start to kind of fill out a table and see what happens. So 0 days from now, aka right now, you got $100. But then tomorrow, you find $1. Look at you, you're up to 101. But then unfortunately, 2 days from now, you lose $2, so you're down to 99. And then 3 days from now, you find, what do you find? $3, so you're up to 102. And then 4 days, you lose 4, you're down to 98. And maybe you're starting to see the pattern. In 5 days, you'd have 103. In 6 days, you'd have 97. In 7 days, you'd have 104, and so on. So I guess the first question is, when do you ever get down to 0? Well, maybe I'll say note, days, money, get a little lazy now. If we just look at the even numbered days, 0 days from now you got $100, 2 days from now, down to 98. 4 days from, no, wait, I messed that up. 2 days from now you're down to 99. 4 days from now, down to 98. 6 days from now, you're down to 97. 8 days from now, you'd be down to 96. 10 days from now, you're down to 95, and so on. So the question then becomes, can you figure out how many days it would take if we continue this until you get down to 0? And I think you can. Let's see. Maybe it would help to have another column, like how much you've lost. Money lost. We started out with 100. So we've only lost nothing. Now you're down to 99, so you've lost $1. Down to 98, you've lost $2, $3, $4, $5. Wait a minute, there's certainly a pattern going on here. After 8 days, you've lost $4. After 10 days, you've lost $5. By the time you lose all $100, how many days will it be? Well, looks like it'd be the 200th day. I think the numbers in this column are exactly double the numbers in this column. So what we're saying is that it would take 200 days for you to get down to 0. So if I continue this for a long time, when I get down to 200, your money would be 0. But that's not what the question asked, right? This is when you call me. But the question is asking, what's the most money you ever had? Well, I guess the most money you ever had was on day 199. Right? If you look at this, the amount of money you have is increasing on these odd days. So the question is, how much did you have on day 199? Well, I know that on 4 days from now I lose $4. 2 days from now I lose $2. So 200 days from now I lost $200. If I just lost $200, it means that I had 200 before I lost it. And that's the highest number I'm ever going to see. So therefore that's the answer to this question. How much was that? $200 was max. Okay, now the question says, if you didn't want to call me until 1001 days from now, change that. I changed this problem, so I'm going to have to make this an even number. So let's say you didn't want to call me until 1,000 days from now. How much money would you have to start out with? Okay, so in the above scenario, I started out with $100. Started with 100. That doesn't say 100. It took 200 days to call. So logically, if you wanted to wait 1,000 days to call, so if I start with Well, let's see, this number is half of this number, so it might make sense that if you start with $500, it will take 1,000 days to call. So there you go. There's the answer there. Maybe I should word this a little bit more carefully. Well, I'll think about that. And for now, I'll just move on. So, all right, the money problem. I guess I should do the money problem in green. That would make sense. It says, how many ways can you make $100 if the only currency available is $5 bills, $10 bills, and $20 bills? Maybe I should even write that up here. What I had in mind was recognize a pattern. Although I'm sure there's other ways you could have done this problem. Down here, what I had in mind was make a list. And more than just a list, make a systematic list. Because if you just start listing possibilities, odds are you're going to miss some. But if your list is systematic, if there's some logic to it, you might not miss any. So again, I'm going to make a chart. Here's 20s, here's 10s, here's 5s. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first start out with what to me would be the easiest scenario would be 5 20s. 5 20s, I don't need any 10s or any 5s to make $100. But what if I don't have 5 20s? What if I only have 4 20s? Well, I suppose I could have 2 10s, or I could kind of get rid of a 10 and replace it with 2 5s. I could get rid of another 10. Oh, that says 10. This should say 2 here. I could get rid of another 10 and replace it with 2 more 5s. And then I'd be out of options, right? Can't have any less 10s. So those are all my options for having 4 20s. So what about 3 20s? Well, if I had 3 20s, that's $60. So I could have 4 10s and no 5s. Or I could have 3 10s and 2 5s. Or I could have 2 10s and 4 5s. Or I could have 1 10 and 6 5s. Or I could have 0 10s and 8 5s. And you can keep going down here and actually list them all out. But if you're kind of clever, try to point something out here, maybe with a different color. There's only one way that I could have 5 20s. There's 3 ways that I could have 4 20s. There's 5 ways that I could have 3 20s. It'll turn out there's 7 ways that you could have 2 20s. So this is 1 plus 3 plus 5. And then it'll turn out that we'll want to add, maybe I shouldn't write that there. How about this? We'll say 1, 3, 5. It'll turn out, follow pattern to see that there are 7 ways to have 2 20s and 9 ways to have 1 20 and 11 ways to have 0 20s. So my answer would be 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11. And you can just add these numbers up directly. They're small enough. However, if you add them one at a time, an interesting thing happens. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4. 1 plus 3 plus 5 is equal to 9. 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 is equal to 16. 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 is equal to 25. And 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11 is equal to 36. You see a little pattern going on there? These are just the squares of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the answer to this question is 36 ways, because that's what I get when I add up all these numbers. But maybe more interesting is the pattern that I developed here, this idea of squaring numbers. And that'll be useful down here, because down here it says how many ways can you make $20,000 if the only currency available is $5 bills, $10 bills, and $20 bills. Well, let's see. Up here, I had to make 100, and the maximum amount of 20s I could have would be 5. And the answer was 5 squared, 36. So down here, maximum number of 20s is, well, let's see, to make $20,000, I guess that would be 1,000 20s. Up here, the maximum number of 20s was 5, and the answer was 5 plus 1 squared. Maybe I'll write all this out. Above, max number of 20s was 5, and the answer was 6 squared. So this should be capital. Not that this is an English class. So, recognizing pattern, it appears that the answer here would be 1,001 squared, right? One more than the maximum amount of 20s squared. 1,001 squared. Let's see, 1,001 squared, 1,000 times 1,001 would be 1,001 with 3 zeros tacked on. But that's not what I want. I don't want just 1,000 1,001s. I want 1,001 1,001s. So I need another 1,001. I need to add on 1,001 to this. So my answer would be 1,002,001. Or you just pull out a calculator. 1,002,001. Crazy. I think I'm going to change it so that this is extra credit because that's pretty damn hard. But I'll end this quiz here.